What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekend astrology horoscope for the weekend of November 2nd and the 3rd of 2024. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. I appreciate you all so much. I hope everybody had a good Halloween. I hope you had a good new moon. Intense new moon. Definitely felt more like a full moon for sure. High energy. I noticed a lot of you said that in the comments, and 100% I agree. Not your typical new moon. So I had a great new moon and Halloween. Went to such a fun party, and I'm just so grateful for the people I have in my life. They're so supportive and open-hearted and fun and free. And I just want to give a big shout out to the cutie crew, the Care Bears. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being in my life. And thank you all of you for watching these videos. I appreciate you all and love you so much as well. Let's take a look at this weekend forecast. We are gonna see that moon still in Scorpio, breaking off that new moon energy. And this moon's still stressed here in fall position in Scorpio. We are still in a very tight, this weekend is the peak of the opposition. It's very drawn out between Mars and Pluto, the two dispositors of Scorpio, and intense times. And we're having to navigate intense times in the best ways we can and kind of like find ourselves in many ways and find our passions and go through a lot of emotional depth and learning and evolution. And I think that that's the beautiful thing, is that no matter how it's happening in your life, like we kind of want to see the beauty in the depth. And maybe it's a little darkness, but it's just good to remember that no matter where you're at in your life or how dark things might be, is that it's always the darkest before the light, and that the light will always come through again. So, remember that if things are intense and maybe hard right now, or some people are going to be thriving right now, and some people feed on intensity. I know, for me, I do. When I get like big squares to my chart and things, like it forces, this action in my life, and I love it. It gives me that like adrenaline that I kind of seek in life. And not that, everybody needs to be like me by any means, but we gotta dig deep and persevere right now. And I think that that's a lot of this Pluto finishing here and dispositing this energy, is a lot of perseverance of the growth and maturity that we found within our soul and within the depth of our emotion. Um, and remember, the 10th degree is a very like manifestation degree, very Taurus like energy. And of course, we have Venus, the ruler of Taurus, and the dispositor of the South Node, in Sagittarius, and opposing Jupiter, the ruler. And there's so many things that are ready to broaden our horizons here, and it's like the stuff that's close to you is so important, and the things that are connected, and the things that and the people that you can communicate and go back and forth with, and people that believe in you. These are really positive things that can really amplify our life. And then likewise, if people are just fighting you and everything's dogmatic and nobody wants to give another person a place to speak or talk or be, they're kind of taking us out of our empowerment to manifest and create. And we want to be present and understand that. Today, we're going to see the moon make a big opposition to Uranus. Which, I mean, honestly, with all this intensity and this depth and this emotion that we can be feeling right now, having an opposition to Uranus might be the ticket we all need to get us to disconnect a little bit. Like, look at things objectively. Look at sort of the big picture, the universal schemes, and like how frequency's trying to innovate in your life right now to help you do more with your physical existence, and how to channel emotion into the right places by bringing some emotional intelligence to the table. But it can also mix things up, it can be a mixed bag, but it's kind of like when things get mixed up and stuff, that's when we want to peel out a little bit and not get so involved or overly attached or connected, but be able to kind of do both, get in, get out, get in, get out, as we feel fit in our own lives for whatever situation. So, pretty cool. The moon is going to start off with the quincunx to Jupiter in the morning, and that's just, we're kind of going to go through a little bit of like, I don't know, what happened. It's almost like a recap of certain things that we thought were going to happen, or different ideals, or different truths that maybe we thought were true, or deep embedded emotion that we thought was going to amplify more. Did it amplify? Did it not? So, hopefully finding understanding as the moon progresses here, and then maybe make a turn and a twist, but peel out, be objective. And then by the end of the day, the moon's going to make a sextile over to Pluto on Saturday and finish up in Scorpio. And definitely definitely deep, but I feel like it's deep in like a good way of like phoenix rising through the ashes type energy of like, okay, I was able to detach a little bit, and I was able to sort of see the bigger picture and define my structure within myself to be strong and powerful. Mercury's last day in Scorpio. Mercury's going to come into Sagittarius just after noon today too, so we do get this ingress with our mind coming into detriment position, which is very interesting in itself because we're in Scorpio season, which is very psychological. And the two, mind planets of Mercury and Jupiter, right brain, left brain, right, if you will, linear, non-linear, are in each other's signs and sharing mutual reception, which I think is quite interesting. It's not all the time you get a Venus and a Jupiter sharing mutual reception, right? Jupiter takes 12 years to go around the zodiac, and yes, you can get it in Virgo Pisces, of course, too, but it's kind of rare. So it's an interesting thing where we are getting deeply tested on how to not only broaden our minds and see things from a bigger perspective, but how important it is to not only just have hope and belief and sort of vision, but to have, cold hard fact in your life based on different data you've acquired, different lessons you've learned, things of that nature. So very interesting to just see how we can find some balance, but balance is so weird with the South Node in Libra and a Venus opposite Jupiter in Sagittarius. It's strange, like I'm not gonna lie, like balance is I don't know what balance is, right? Like I don't know what to say to that. Like that's so unique and weird, and you kind of just gotta identify what that is for yourself. And I'm not going to be able to tell you. I don't think anybody's going to be able to tell you what that looks like for you. But it is this time for us to kind of go deep and understand where our own imbalances are so that we can balance things out, and how we can broaden so many things and have so many better relationships and feelings towards ourselves. But how, we also need to narrow things down and, not just bypass or just try to believe something, but to actually understand the truth of the matter of what's going on in our life too with people or ourselves. So the moon will also trine over to Neptune, which honestly, I mean, it's sensitive. It brings some sensitivity to the table, but dang, it's some psychic stuff, and like intuition can be really strong. So kind of getting a good test on following our intuition, knowing what's ours, knowing what isn't ours, healthy boundaries in Scorpio right now, knowing when you've given enough and when you've taken enough, and kind of just using your growth and your evolution as your friend right now. Like, a lot of the things already, that are going to make things better. It's kind of like just believing in yourself to actually implement it in reality. As we look at Sunday, we're going to see the moon and Mercury now in Sagittarius, along with Venus in exact opposition to the dispositor of Sag with three, two planets, one luminary, but good energy over there. Um, Trying to, I just think, really open the door up to feel positive, beneficial, to, I think, appreciate the little things. It's almost like we can get so caught up in I want the big thing right now, the big relationship, the big jackpot money, the big job, the big something, and there's just like so much in the little stuff that's bigger than I think we realize. And I think Sunday is really this day of like gratitude for how much wisdom we've gained, how much we've learned, how much our philosophy has grown, our spiritual depth, and our soul evolution, and especially with the sun at 11 degrees, master number. Also a very emotional number, but kind of just taking our evolution to the next step and broadening our world, but also consolidating it to see all the little treasures that are around us and that we've come to learn. And the moon's going to make great aspects to the nodes, the sextile to the south node, trine to the north node. We're going to see this opposition between Pluto and Mars break off, so kind of that apex pops. This is where you're definitely seeing where things are, really opening up and expanding, and where I think a lot of imbalances can be understood and identified so that you can, find empowerment on your journey to keep growing, keep learning, and to not stay still, but to keep adapting. And then I know we want comfort in life, but Uranus is in Taurus, and comfort's been weird for the last 7 years. So I don't know, what is comfort? Security. We just gotta be present with the sensual stuff in our lives, the touch, the taste, the smell of the treasures that are right within our arm's reach. Because there are some. Sometimes it's easy to overlook those things and get caught up in negative, but I think Sunday is a really good day to really focus your emotional intent and just life into what's positive and what's growing and expanding, and identify all the really good things that are becoming more balanced because of realizing and going deeper into certain imbalances as well. And to know that you don't have to overdo it or expect too much, and you don't have to expect so much of yourself, or you don't have to expect this huge thing from others. It just, you don't need to. I promise. It's more like, how do you find present groundedness in such an expansive, growing, evolutionary time in our lives? And it's good to find that. Venus is trine Chiron exact. And that's a beautiful one too, because that's where I think a lot of the healing is when we get present with ourselves and we are appreciative and grateful for the journey that we're on, and not so much worried about the destination, but knowing that we're going to keep progressing towards that destination. And it's the journey that really is the most beautiful part, as we're starting to see a little bit of a pressure valve release with Mars coming off the exact opposition to Pluto. But still, 2929 dispositing the Sun, which is now a singleton in terms of planets and luminaries in Scorpio. So, lots of deep stuff. We don't need to force things with our ego right now. Remember that. But when we get, there's just going to be a knowing, and it might be a whisper, but it's a no. And it's important to listen to that knowing without expectation that whether you're going to be right or wrong, to trust that, to trust yourself, and to keep growing, keep learning, and experiencing life. And be grateful this weekend. And give yourself a hug and a pat on the back. It's hasn't been easy for a while. Astrology's been hard. Ever since, Pluto Saturn, 2020, January 12th. It's a hard cycle we're in. It's very, very Capricorn. 22 degrees, another master number. It's also a kind of feared, degree, the 22nd degree of Capricorn. And when you get into the degree theory and things of that nature. So we're all trying to grow and persevere and be responsible for ourselves and find our path up the hill and the mountain and reach our destinies. And again, it's be grateful that we're on the journey, ground out in that gratitude this weekend. And I think that you'll have a great weekend. And if you're going to try and force too hard and over desire or over expect certain things, you're probably going to be let down. And there's nothing wrong with that, because there's a lot of growth in those moments too. But give yourself some love after you go through it, and don't, be a masochist and feel like you deserve the pain, because you don't. You deserve the love and the expanse and the growth. Card for the weekend is the Star card. new beginnings. But it's not like the full new beginnings, right? This is the star. This is where there's this like sort of divine guidance that comes from the heavens to show you that you don't have to be naked and afraid, but you can be, pure in your skin and in your body and follow where the waters of the universe are taking you and where the stars are guiding you. And you want to listen to that calling. And it is a release of fear, and it is sort of an ability to connect to something more. And I think within finding gratitude right now and just for life and for experiences that we've been through and seeing silver linings, it's going to be much easier to sort of see where your river is going to flow and to see that you have an abundance and of, everlasting creative potential and potency, and that you're always guided to follow that river you're creating. Be in that flow, and you don't have to force yourself upstream like some salmon gets snatched up by a Care Bear. I love you all very much. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you all on Monday. Much love.